The flood turned the city into a drowning beast, swallowing streets and cars alike. Amid the chaos, Jake Miller, a single dad, saw a woman clinging to a stop sign, her eyes wide with terror. Strangers yelled for him to stay back. But he dove in anyway, dragging her from death's grip. What he couldn't imagine was that saving her would pull him and his son into a fight far deadlier than the storm itself. Before we dive in, drop a comment with where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. Let's begin. The river had swallowed half the block, streetlights bending under the current like matchsticks. Jake Miller, 38, stood on the truck bed with his 9-year-old son Caleb, scanning the chaos. Neighbors shouted from porches, headlights flickered in the storm, and the air reeked of mud and gasoline. Then he saw her. A woman clung to a stop sign in the raging water, her arms shaking, her face pale with terror. "Dad," Caleb whispered, clutching his sleeve. "She's gonna die." Onlookers yelled for Jake to stay back, but he didn't hesitate. He kicked off his boots and dove into the current, the icy flood closing over his head. Every stroke burned his lungs, but he fought toward her, grabbing her wrist just as her grip slipped. With a final surge of strength, he pulled her free and staggered to the shore. Caleb rushed forward with a blanket, wrapping it around her trembling shoulders. The woman coughed hard, water spilling from her lips. "No hospital," she rasped, eyes darting nervously. "Please. Don't take me there." Jake frowned, but before he could answer, the roar of an engine cut through the storm. A black SUV slowed at the corner, its tinted windows fixed on them like a predator waiting. The woman's lips were blue, her body trembling, but her eyes stayed locked on the SUV idling at the corner. Rain lashed the windshield, hiding the driver's face, yet Jake swore he felt the weight of their stare. "You need a hospital," Jake said firmly. She shook her head, clutching his sleeve with surprising strength. "If they find me there, it's over." "Who's they?" Jake asked, but the woman pressed her lips shut, scanning the street like a hunted animal. Caleb's small voice broke the tension. "Dad, they're watching us." Jake wrapped his arm around the woman's shoulders and guided her toward the truck. The SUV rolled forward slowly, its headlights cutting across the waterlogged pavement. Jake's instincts screamed, something wasn't right. He shoved Caleb inside the cab and lifted the woman in after him. The engine of the SUV growled louder as it turned down the same street. Jake climbed behind the wheel, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. The woman finally whispered, "My name is Samantha. And if you don't let me out now, they'll come after you too." Jake's heartbeat thundered louder than the storm as the two SUVs slowed, hemming them in from both sides. Their tinted windows revealed nothing, only shadows shifting inside. Caleb clutched Jake's arm. "Dad, what do we do?" Jake threw the truck into reverse, tires hissing on the wet pavement. He spun the wheel and barreled down a side street, water splashing in waves around them. The SUVs hesitated, then one whipped around to follow, headlights slicing through the night. Samantha braced herself against the dashboard, her breathing ragged. "You shouldn't have gotten involved. They won't stop now." Jake shot her a sharp look. "I don't care who they are. My son's in this truck. You better start talking." Her eyes welled with fear, but she stayed silent, only pulling a soaked leather satchel tighter against her chest. Jake caught a glimpse of something inside when it shifted, hard edges, metallic glint, not clothes. The roar of the pursuing SUV grew closer, its bumper nearly kissing the back of Jake's truck. Caleb yelped as the impact jolted them forward. Jake floored the accelerator, skidding around another corner. Jake tightened his grip on the wheel, the corporation seal burning in his mind. Hale Global, Marcus Hale's empire. He'd seen that logo on billboards and campaign ads, always promising charity and growth. What the hell was Samantha doing with files like that? The SUV behind them swerved, trying to force them off the flooded street. Jake jerked the wheel, sending the truck splashing through a narrow alley. Trash cans toppled, sparks flew as the mirror scraped a brick wall. Caleb cried out, but Jake kept control, his face set like stone. Samantha clutched the satchel tighter. If they get these drives, everything disappears, evidence, witnesses, even me. Evidence of what? Jake demanded. Her silence was answer enough. She wasn't ready to trust him. Not yet. They burst out of the alley onto a dark stretch of road leading toward the woods. The second SUV reappeared at the far end, blocking the way. Jake slammed the brakes. For a moment, everything froze, two sets of headlights glaring at them like predators ready to pounce. Caleb whispered, "Dad." Jake threw the truck into gear and made his choice, not forward, not back, but straight into the muddy field on their left. The truck roared, tires spinning, mud flying. The SUVs hesitated, their weight too heavy for the sodden ground. For a fleeting moment, it looked like they had escaped, until a spotlight flared to life ahead, blinding them. The helicopter's blades thundered overhead, whipping rain into the cab like needles. The spotlight pinned Jake's truck in a harsh white glow, turning night into a stage. Caleb shielded his eyes. "Dad, they found us." Jake swerved hard, aiming for the tree line. Branches clawed the windshield as they plunged into the woods, the beam chasing them through gaps in the canopy. The truck jolted over roots, every bump threatening to snap an axle. Samantha clung to the dashboard, her voice fierce through the panic. "You don't understand, Hale built his empire on blood. The drives prove it. If he gets them back, people like me disappear forever." Jake shot her a glance, breath ragged. "You're saying Hale is behind this?" She nodded once, eyes wild. "And now you are too. By saving me, you signed your death warrant." The words sank like lead. Caleb's small voice broke the silence. "Dad, we can't let them take her." Jake's jaw tightened. He knew his boy was right, but the weight of what Samantha carried threatened to crush them all. Then, through the trees, the faint outline of an old ranger station appeared, its roof sagging, its windows dark. Jake yanked the wheel, gunning the truck toward it. Jake slammed the brakes, mud spraying across the ranger station's cracked siding. The figure in the headlights didn't flinch. He was broad-shouldered, a pistol glinting at his side, his suit too clean for the storm around him. "Hale's man." Samantha's grip tightened on the satchel. "That's Mason," she hissed. "Hale's fixer. If he's here, they already know where we're headed." Jake's eyes darted to the woods. The helicopter circled back, its spotlight cutting swaths of light between the trees. They were pinned, front and above. "Dad," Caleb's whisper trembled, but his little hands clenched into fists, just like Jake's when he was his age. Jake shifted the truck into reverse, but Mason raised his pistol and fired. The windshield cracked, glass sprang into the cab. Caleb screamed. Jake swerved, metal groaning as a tire hit a ditch. The truck lurched, stuck. Mason advanced slowly, confident, gun steady. Samantha clutched Jake's sleeve, her voice breaking. "If he takes me alive, you'll never see daylight again." Jake's pulse hammered. He reached under the seat and pulled out the old hunting rifle he hadn't touched in years. His breath steadied, just as it had when teaching Caleb to shoot tin cans in the backyard. The words cut through the storm sharper than the gunshot. "Your brother." Jake froze, rifle steady but breath unsteady. Caleb blinked at him, confused. "Dad, what does he mean?" Mason smirked, stepping closer. "Hale remembers Daniel Miller. Everyone does. He took what wasn't his. And you're about to make the same mistake." Samantha's eyes widened. "Daniel Miller?" She turned to Jake. "Your brother, he worked for Hale." Jake's throat tightened. Memories crashed in, Daniel vanishing years ago after a scandal in the city. Jake had buried the pain, told Caleb his uncle had moved away. But hearing Hale's name connected to it now, it was like old wounds ripped open. "Dad?" Caleb pressed again, voice small against the chaos. Jake didn't answer. He couldn't, not yet. He shifted his aim, but Mason raised his free hand in mock surrender. "Be smart, Miller. Hand over the woman and the drives. Walk away with your boy. Pretend tonight never happened." Samantha shook her head violently. "If Hale gets them, no one walks away. Not even you." Jake's finger brushed the trigger, torn between his son, the truth about his brother, and the storm closing in around them. The gunshot echoed through the trees, swallowed by the storm. Mason stumbled, clutching his arm, his pistol clattering into the mud. Jake swung his rifle toward the tree lean, eyes narrowing. "Who's there?" For a breathless moment, only the hiss of rain answered. Then a figure stepped out, lean, hood pulled low, a rifle slung across his chest. He moved with the practiced silence of someone who'd been hunting more than deer. Samantha stiffened. "That's not one of Hale's." The man lowered his hood, revealing a scar that cut across his cheek like lightning. His gaze landed on Jake. "You don't know me, but I knew your brother." Jake's stomach lurched. Caleb clutched his sleeve tighter. "Uncle Daniel," he whispered, hope flickering in his voice. The stranger shook his head. "Daniel's gone. But he left something behind, something Hale has been trying to bury for years. I'm here to finish what your brother started." Mason groaned in the mud, snarling through clenched teeth. "Lies. Don't listen, Miller. Hale will grind you to dust." Jake's rifle wavered between Mason and the scarred man, his pulse pounding in his ears. He didn't know which danger was worse, the enemy he saw clearly, or the one offering to stand by his side. Jake stared at the waterproof case lying in the mud, rain hammering against its plastic shell. Samantha bent quickly to snatch it up, but the scarred man's boot pinned it to the ground. His voice was calm, almost too calm. "Easy. That's proof Hale's empire is built on fraud, bribes, murder. Your brother died trying to get this out." Samantha's eyes narrowed. "Then why hide until now?" He met her gaze evenly. "Because Hale owns half the cops in this city. Timing is everything. And you," he looked at Jake, "you just made yourself the perfect distraction." Caleb's small hand tugged Jake's sleeve. "Dad. I don't like him." Jake's gut agreed, but Samantha shook her head. "Don't listen. I've been running for months. He's trying to twist you. My drives are real. Hale's people killed everyone I worked with. If you trust him, you'll end up like Daniel." The scarred man crouched, picking up the case and tossing it into Jake's lap. "Then check for yourself. Compare them. If her files match mine, maybe we're on the same side." Jake hesitated, fingers trembling as he cracked open the case. Inside were rows of drives, each labeled with Hale's corporate seal. Samantha gasped, recognition flashing across her face. The forest lit with beams of white as Hale's men fanned out, their shouts cutting through the rain. Jake shoved Caleb behind him, heart pounding like a war drum. The scarred man raised his rifle, eyes cold. "If you want your son to live, we move. Now." Samantha grabbed Jake's arm. "Don't trust him, he'll hand us over the first chance he gets." Jake's gaze darted between them. He didn't have the luxury of certainty, only instinct. "Caleb stays with me," he growled. The scarred man smirked. "Fine. But if we don't split now, Hale's squadron will drag us all out in chains." He tossed Jake a small device, no bigger than a phone charger. "Signal jammer. 5 minutes, maybe less. After that, they'll call in more." Jake caught it, staring at the blinking light. He didn't know if it was a lifeline, or a trap. "Dad, Caleb whispered, voice steady despite the fear. You always say doing nothing is worse than doing the wrong thing. Jake's jaw clenched. His boy was right. Action or death, there was no in-between now. He slammed the jammer switch. The flashlights ahead flickered, radios crackled dead. Confusion swept the line of men. Jake yanked Caleb close, nodding to Samantha. We run. To the ranger station. Now. The ranger station loomed through the trees, its roof sagging, windows boarded, but to Jake it looked like salvation. He shoved the door open, Caleb and Samantha tumbling inside as rain sheeted off the roof. The place smelled of damp wood and rusted metal, but in the corner sat an old shortwave radio, half buried under tarps. Samantha lunged for it, fingers shaking as she connected one of the drives. If this works, we can transmit everything, bank records, contracts, names, to someone Hale can't touch. Jake yanked a cabinet across the door, bracing it just as heavy boots pounded outside. Voices barked orders, beams of flashlight slicing through the cracks. Caleb clutched Jake's arm, whispering, "They're right there, Dad." Static screeched from the radio, then a voice crackled through, "This is Channel 9. Identify." Samantha leaned into the mic, "Price. Samantha Price. I have evidence on Marcus Hale. Sending now." Her eyes locked with Jake's. This could burn him down, or kill us before sunrise. Outside, a bullhorn roared. "Miller. Hand her over, and you and the boy walk free." Jake's hands trembled on the rifle. Caleb's small voice steadied him. "We don't give up, right, Dad?" Jake froze, breath caught in his throat. The voice over the static was cracked, weathered, but unmistakable. "Jake, if you're hearing this, it means Hale never buried me completely." Caleb's eyes widened. "Uncle Daniel?" The recording spilled on, Daniel's voice explaining how he had infiltrated Hale's operation years ago, gathering evidence, hiding copies of files across the city in case Hale tried to silence him. "If this reaches you, it means Samantha kept her promise," the tape ended. "Finish what I couldn't. Burn him down." Samantha's hands shook, tears streaking her face. "He trusted me. I couldn't save him, but I swore I'd save his brother." Jake's chest ached with grief and fury, but there was no time. The radio hissed, confirmation flashing, files transmitted, packet delivered. Outside, Hale's men rammed the door. The station shuddered. Jake chambered around, ready to sell his life dearly. But then, sirens wailed. Red and blue lights flashed through the cracks. Federal agents stormed the clearing, shouting for Hale's men to drop their weapons. The trap had flipped. Minutes later, Mason was dragged away in cuffs, snarling promises of revenge. Helicopters peeled back. The storm thinned to drizzle. Jake stepped outside with Caleb at his side, Samantha clutching the satchel against her chest. Reporters already swarmed the road below as news of Hale's empire collapsing began to spread. Caleb tugged Jake's sleeve. "Dad, we did it, didn't we?" Jake knelt, wrapping him in a muddy embrace. "Yeah, buddy. We did." Samantha joined them, her voice soft. "Your brother's fight isn't over. But tonight, we gave it a chance." Thanks for watching, like and subscribe for more stories that stay with you.